It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Monday, July the 24th, 2023. And what that means to me is that 23 years ago today, I got my head out of my ass and became a dad, and then everything started to make sense.
There it is.
Isn't that nice? Happy birthday to Connell Gorman, the firstborn of our two. And literally the day when I went, man, I've been sweating a bunch of nonsense. Now I'm going to sweat some real stuff. My anxiety's never been higher, but at least it's not over silly boy things. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Silly boys and their little toys. So a great day for me forever, July 24th, and I'm happy to be here with my friends in Minneapolis and for everybody listening, and especially... Let's just go back a few days, shall we? How about everybody that was on the boat with us Friday night?
Yeah, wow. It's a lot of new faces, too. A lot of folks I haven't met in the past. It was just a good time. It felt like that didn't stop. It just kept going right on through the weekend. I had one of those weekends.
Oh,
where
nice.
it just, kept coming on Saturday, and then it was Sunday fun day, and now I'm just kind of sitting here with a head full of cotton candy.
Going to go ahead and give Tony Lee my blue ribbon for 80s dress. And it's, the wig's one thing, the clothes one thing, but it's the single glove on the left hand.
The sequin glove, yes.
Man, he adds a piece every year, There's something you got to find. We should turn it into a contest. What piece has Tony added to his 80s look this year?
I added the snake bracelet.
Yeah.
That was cool.
God damn, that
You're
felt
cool.
good to wear.
It looked good. I've just never seen anyone go with the / Michael Jackson hybrid so effectively. But that was great. And then for Candace, a little blue ribbon for a scintillating version of Sweet Child of Mine.
Scorching.
With the band. Truly fantastic. What a nice night. It's just a bunch of nice folks having a good time rocking out. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was fun.
I know, and it was like wandering from one street dance to another or something, right? Because you'd go to the top deck, and then you'd go to the other boat, the lower deck, and then up to that top deck, and it was, what's going on? It's a whole new group of people up here, and they were all excited to see you, and that was a good time. Thanks for coming out, folks. That's I always do the same thing. I'm like, I gotta go to St. Paul, do I want to do it? And then I get on the boat and I have the best damn time of my life.
It really is. It really was fun. So to echo what you just said, Zeb, thanks everybody for making it out on the boat. That was truly a blast. And then, as you said, also the weekend just rolled along. I believe only one of us took the plunge and experienced the Barbie movie. Candace.
Oh, yeah. It was so amazing.
I saw some photos. You dressed up like any self-respecting woman would.
Yes.
You dressed up for a movie?
Yeah.
Barbie.
Hey, listen.
Pink
Remember
makes
when
me
Barbie
feel
wasn't
great.
cool? I think she was wasn't she accused of objectifying women and being the worst thing
She
that ever
still
happened
does,
to culture?
but,
Okay.
She had a little coke
But
problem,
now it's
too.
fun. Coke
You gotta
Barbie.
look past that.
You don't keep that 12-inch waist without some heavy pharmaceutical enhancement. The number of women I saw walking right. So my wife and I, we actually ran over to Virginia for a quick weekend, moving our daughter out of one apartment, spending a couple days with her in the summer. She's a college student in Virginia. We had a great trip, very quick, as it turned out. Got back just in time last night to see... I'm not exaggerating. Over the course of 2 or 3 hours, we live right down the street from a movie theater. Triple digits, 100 women in Barbie garb coming into and leaving the theater. There were multiple showings, and every about 40 minutes, you just see another throng of women go by, all decked out, more pink than you could shake a stick at, and everybody having an awesome time on the way in, everybody celebrating on the way out. There's something very serious happening with this movie.
Yeah,
I can't wait not to see it.
Anyway, it was very fun. It was very funny. The Kens were very, very funny.
Okay.
And it was really just a nice movie. It was actually like a really nice ode to women and a good story. And a lot of things are addressed.
A lot of things are
about
addressed.
the fact that, Barbie is the stereotypical, all that stuff is addressed.
Right.
And it's just a nice movie. It was very fun to watch, and I will definitely watch it again. So I think that's a good sign.
Does it open it up to a sequel?
The big. Oh, God.
Mike Evans.
The hell happened? Yeah, you'll be hearing my recorded version.
The biggest opening weekend for a film directed by a woman in history, by the way.
Oh,
At a time when movies are not what they once were, no female-directed film has ever come close to the money Barbie just brought in over the weekend. Greta Gerwig, who wrote and directed the film, everything she's ever done is fantastic. The Little Women movie from a few years ago, did anybody see that?
No, what about that date movie with Natalie Portman and what's his kid from the 70s show? Was that... You like that one?
That's not one I've seen.
Okay.
I'm batting 1,000 with Greta so far.
That was the last movie I saw that she did in 2011, and then I was like, oh.
Lady Bird, incredible.
Who's
Little
that
Women, incredible.
Right,
Frances Ha, incredible.
Sounds like a lot of chick flicks.
Yeah, and they're all great. And so now we've got a Barbie movie. None of us, and I already know this from pre-show research, none of us made it to Oppenheimer. Also a huge weekend at the box office.
Yeah, the first time a movie has gone over 100 million and another over 80 million in the same weekend for opening weekend.
Man, that's kind of exciting. I mean, it's a shame because there's no more good movies coming out anytime soon. But for a minute, it feels kind of like the old days. When you look at a list, any list from the 80s or 90s, when we were all much younger. You look at just by the year what movies came out. It's kind of astounding to recognize, boy, movies used to really matter. Mm-hmm. And now, of course, those same writers, those same directors, they're just all doing TV now. There's still tons of content, but the idea of going to the theater, getting the popcorn.
Totally.
I really love seeing all the Barbie posts on social media. Just the fact that there's something that is such an event that so many people are taking part in. Kind of cool. And, of course, like I said, I was in Virginia packing out an apartment.
It is cool.
That 3 college kids ruined for a year.
Yeah. Now, Candace, you guys didn't decide to do the Barbenheimer. Like a lot of people I heard, that was a big event this weekend to get all dressed up in your pink, go to Barbie, and then, do some period stuff or whatever would be around the whole, 1940s.
Yeah, it would have been fun. I can't even believe I went to
a
movie on a Saturday. I haven't done that since 1995. I mean, to go to dinner and then go to a movie on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And go home and go to bed after. It was really weird.
There's also a local story that some retail clothing places were running out of the color pink.
Oh, I'm no doubt.
Panic there, yeah.
Well, I will see both of these movies, and I will see both of them in the theater. Okay. I will not wear pink when I go see Barbie, but I will pull out my old standard Devo yellow radiation suit for Oppenheimer. Now, I will go as Bob 1, not Bob 2. There's a difference.
Did you guys see the big ope that Oppenheimer did? There was a scene where they showed Americans waving the 50-star flag, which wasn't established.
That's
until
right.
1959.
Oh my
I did see the one historical fact. They fudged.
Yeah.
That's all Zepp's looking for, one crack in the foundation. He needs one reason not to go see the film, and you just gave it to him.
The other, yeah. Oh, well, I'll see them. I'll see them both eventually when they're streaming. I like going to movie theaters, but not. You know what? In about 3 or 4 weeks, I'll go see these for a matinee during the week.
Yeah,
dies down.
So busy,
My great pet peeve in life. I have 2 or 3 of them total, but one of them is noise in a movie theater. Like I despise people who talk in theaters. It makes me nuts when someone takes 46 minutes to open the plastic goober wrap around the box of goobers. Movies are like I really loved going to the theater as a kid. I loved it so much that it's like you're ruining my life if you make noise in this theater. And don't you pull out that cell phone, man. Oh, God, I see that glowing light, and I'm like, you really can't not text someone for 2 hours? So I'm a bad moviegoer because I get into a bad mood on my way in waiting for someone to piss me off. It's a problem. It's a me thing. I admit it.
Yeah, I kind of do the same myself. I won't even at home watch a movie with someone else. I make them go into another room and watch on another television.
That's right.
That's the way. Now, well, Mike Evans is coming up, but he called in sick this morning. Either that or had an early tea time because he did the old, I don't sound so good this morning. But he did record a little something for us. We'll see what he thinks about the whole Oppenheimer Barbie weekend. Although I think he's pronouncing it correctly these days. We'll find out here at 6:30 with Mike Evans. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Monday, July the 24th. Good morning. We are all still glowing from the big rock cruise on Friday night. Man, it really is. It can't be overstated. What a good time it is to get together with a bunch of people and rock out. I mean, that's kind of what we like to do in life. I'm a fan of rock music.
Not me.
I know Candace is a fan of rock music. You bite your forked tongue. Yeah, right.
It's scary.
It's scary when the people have fun together on a boat in St. Paul. But we did it so Friday night. And again, our sincere thank you to everybody who joined us. That was what they call a good time. And then maybe you played a small part over the weekend in the, what is it, Barbieheimer or Barbenheimer? What is it?
Was it Barbenheimer?
Barbenheimer, the biggest opening weekend for two films ever in Hollywood, Barbie and Oppenheimer. People are going berserk for both movies, two wildly different films, but both critically acclaimed and obviously hugely successful commercially, even after just 3 days. And with all this movie talk, who better than today, because he's sick, on a recorded version of the Hollywood Report, Mike Evans.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Mike Evans. Welcome to Monday. Got some really, really happy news, some really, really sad news to start the week. The really happy news is that Jamie Foxx is definitely on the mend. Could be back to work, maybe as early as next month. Still no word on what the medical emergency was, but a stroke still considered the biggest possibility. Of course, the really, really sad news since we last spoke, the passing of Tony Bennett, one of the truly nice guys, Tony Bennett. And logging in 96 years, he used all the runway, and his music will last forever. Quick love nugget, one of Hollywood's happiest couples is Melissa McCarthy and husband Ben Falcone. Married 18 years, 2 children. They have multiple charity projects. And here's a sidebar. Ben and Melissa have been present every day on the picket line during the strike. And despite accepting the LBGTQ Festival Award of the Year for all of their support, they decided not to appear in person over the weekend because of the Screen Actors Guild strike. They talk the talk. They walk the walk, and the LBGTQ, they understood. Another strike-related nugget, the Screen Actors Guild has to sign off before studios can promote movies. Well, the Screen Actors Guild has decided not to do that during the strike, and there's no surprise there. Okay, the big movie news. Barbie made $150 million over the weekend, and as I predicted last week, almost lapped Oppenheimer, who did $80 million. Thousands of patrons showed up at theaters wearing pink and Barbie outfits. And for the record, the breakdowns were 65% of the people who saw Barbie were women. 35% were men. 40% were under 25. 60% were over 25. And
the math adds up.
Only 6% who saw the movie were over 50.
Wow.
Odds and ends, so we don't know who won the $1 billion Powerball last week. But this is very interesting. It was sold at the La Palmitas mini store on the 500 block of 5th Street, right in the middle of Los Angeles' Skid Row. And almost all of their clients are homeless. So it makes sense that whoever won that $1 billion probably could be from the homeless community there. Keanu Reeves is taking the time off during the strike to get back with his band, Dog Star. They are going to do some concert gigs, but they're also putting together an album. For the record, while Keanu Reeves, his vocals may not be the greatest, boy, he can handle the bass with some great, great runs. Hey, have a great day. We'll do it again tomorrow. Maybe my voice will be a little better. Have a great day. Mike Evans, see ya.
Fair enough.
Mike hit it hard this weekend, too, I think.
But he sounded just like he always sounds to me. Although I do appreciate him coining a new term, concert gigs.
Not to be confused with a concert or a gig.
No. Concert gigs, whole different thing. It's twice the fun with Dogstar. Oh, I was on a flight yesterday. Speaking of Keanu Reeves, did not listen to Dogstar, but I watched a little John Wick. Just to remind myself of how completely inane a movie can be. But gosh, don't think I didn't enjoy it.
Oh,
I mean, come on.
I want to see that.
Oh, man, it was bad guys doing bad Russian stuff.
We're up to number 4, right?
I think
4,
so.
Yeah.
I was watching the first one.
Oh, were you watching the first one? I watched the first 3. I got a feeling 4 is not a lot different. I like a body count too, but I mean, at some point, it's like, okay.
There was a car, there was a puppy, there was some malfeasance, and then a whole bunch of people died. That's my movie review for John Wick. All these years later. Quick historical note here. We all know Mahatma Gandhi, an Indian and in fact human icon. Ben Kingsley very famously portrayed Gandhi in the film of the same name. Mahatma Gandhi, a man who walked the talk of nonviolent resistance. Some folks up in Chilliwack, British Columbia in Canada are taking a page from Gandhi's book. They are following the path shown by Mahatma Gandhi how to deal with systemic injustice. A couple is staging a hunger strike in British Columbia. Systemic injustice. They wrote in a comment, we would prefer death over continuing to live the life of second-class citizens that we have been reduced to due to the callous and discriminatory attitude of the city of Chilliwack. What has the city done to put these two people in such a desperate situation where a hunger strike is their only recourse?
Yeah, really.
They opened up some pickleball courts nearby.
Damn it.
And the sound is driving them crazy.
Okay, so it's a hunger strike then.
It's a hunger strike over a pickleball court.
Well, it is Canada. That's about as radical as it gets up there. Someone's making a little noise outside.
These folks bought a house on Woodbine Street. Sounds like a lovely neighborhood in 2017. And they really enjoyed the fact that they could hear the sounds of a nearby park.
Yeah.
Dogs barking, children playing, and no clack, clack, clack of a pickleball court. But a court was paved in 2019. It was resurfaced in 21, and it's become unbearable. The sounds of the pickleball. I can't take it.
There goes the neighborhood. I guess you have to move up into that Arctic Circle. Hey,
listen, as far as things that can bring down the property values, I don't think pickleball is a concern.
No.
Your house is worth more than it was when you bought it because of the people who play pickleball. It's not a skate park.
Yeah.
Disaffected, disenfranchised youth are not flocking to pickleball courts. You know who's playing pickleball? Yeah. People with cash and who think that's actually fun, who no longer get to play tennis. And you know who plays tennis? People with cash, generally speaking.
There's a lot of them. Did you see that Minneapolis opened its first pickleball courts over in Nokomis? Long lines, shootings, riots. All right, I made that part up.
Not quite.
Not quite, but they have some more coming over there. So, yeah, it's... I've never wanted to do anything less in my life than play pickleball. Only because, it's just like a weird fad. It's like Barbie and Oppenheimer.
All I know is, I share your lack of concern for pickleball or interest in pickleball.
Right.
But all I'm saying is, if the pickleball is keeping you up at night, trust me when I say, because that court is there, your house is worth more than you paid for.
That's right.
Just find a more quiet neighborhood. Find that same place somewhere a little farther outside of town. You'll be okay. The hunger strike, comparing yourselves to victims of true systemic injustice, please.
Yeah, there's going to be some rich old retirees. They're going to want to buy your place because it's a...
That is exactly right.
Yeah, it's a quick walker over to the pickleball courts for them.
Yeah, I would imagine that should be first on the flyer that the realtor puts together for your house.
Yeah.
That should be line number 1. Walk to pickleball.
I don't believe this couple anyway. I want to check in on them day 19, when the rib cage is showing and they're wasting away and, fighting the pickleball fight. And where was it? Chilliwack?
Chilliwack.
Okay.
Chilliwack, the name of a band, Chilliwack, who had one big hit single, Gone, 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 She Been Gone So Long, She Been Gone, Gone, Gone So Long. Remember that song, My Girl? My girl, she want the world to me. It was a hit back in like 1980, and the band was called Chilliwack.
Right.
And I didn't know that was the name of a town, and when I found that out years later, I was like, wait a minute, that's that band that had that one song.
What if they're actually from there?
An experience I just shared again on the air. Very famous SCTV skit where the band, the Recess Monkeys, the high school band, played that song. Rick Moranis singing. Come on, guys. It's all SCTV these days.
I'm down to try pickleball. I would just want to make it like a drinking game or something. Like, I feel like there should be a pickleball court, like, and a bar mixed. Like, that would be okay.
I'm sure that's, if it doesn't already exist, it's a bankable idea. Go get a loan and start building and get ready to cash in, Candace.
It just has to be fun and liked because I will be terrible at it. I have a poor one bad eyeball, and there's no way I'm going to be
hand-eye coordination is a struggle?
That. Yep.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
It is pickleball. I mean, like 80-years play it.
What's your point?
It's giant ping pong.
I mean, just get in the way of the ball.
Okay.
It's kind of what it looks like to me. All right, let's look back.
Well, what happened today?
Yeah, what is it, Steve?
July 24th, 2005, Lance Armstrong won his 7th straight Tour de France. Woo. Now, his bloodstream was, of course, as full of drugs as any man alive on planet Earth that day.
That's how bad he wanted to win.
Which makes sense. If you want to ride a bicycle over the Pyrenees, I've said it many times, please enhance the experience with as many pharmaceuticals as you can get your hands on. But when you are, in fact, using pharmaceuticals to fuel your 7 straight Tour de France wins, and then you use your fame and power to destroy the careers of other cyclists who call you out, well, there's a special corner in hell with your name on it. Lance Armstrong. Not going to be having fun in the afterlife.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Good morning. It's a really good morning if you are within the sound of my voice, anywhere in the Twin Cities or the extended area, and you like the shrooms. Let's talk about psilocybin. Let's talk about magic mushrooms, shall we? Minneapolis is backing away from the enforcement of laws that criminalize buying psychedelic plants or using them in private.
Yeah.
So if you like to get home at the end of a workday, or if you like to start your workday, or if at any point in time in your life, in the privacy of your own home, you would like to enjoy some shrooms, the city is no longer going to be looking for you, basically, is what we're here to tell you.
Yeah, just get high as a giraffe's ass and enjoy yourself is what they're basically saying.
Right. We're not going to use taxpayer dollars to enforce most of the laws against hallucinogenic plants. Now, Minneapolis is still enforcing laws against selling them, bringing them to schools, of course, or using them while driving. However, sitting in the privacy of your own home, now that mushrooms specifically, other hallucinogenic plants, but for the most part shrooms, are being used to treat mental illnesses like depression and very significantly PTSD, the city is realizing, well, wait a minute, what are we doing here? Why are we going after people for doing this in the privacy of their home? Following the legalization of marijuana that we just saw happen a few months ago, they're starting to look at these things and recognize, well, you know, in the privacy of one's own home, as long as you're not taking it anywhere near kids or schools, as long as you're not driving under the influence, what do we care?
I think politicians are just finally coming around to the idea that, listen, it's a lot harder to fix crap than it is to just let people get stoned out of their gourd and ignore it.
Yeah. Well,
it's just an easier path.
Well, there's also the fact that look around you right now. Who is within your earshot or eyeshot that hasn't been stoned, that hasn't tried these things, that won't ever try these things? Far more people have been stoned than not. That's been my experience.
Yeah.
I'm one of the least stony people I know. Pot never really worked for me. I've been stoned a billion times, but I've never bought weed for myself. I've never rolled a joint. Never once in my life. Just always was around it. Sometimes I'd take a little. I moved on with my life. It just wasn't my thing. And the older I get, the more I realize I'm in the minority. I know so many people, and not because not in the world of musicians, but just in life. The number of people who not have tried weed, but smoked weed a lot or do gummies now. Mm-hmm. It's just a part of people's lives, and it's always been. We're removing the stigma from the illegality, and guess what? The world has not come to an end.
Yeah, I wonder what the thing was there for a while, especially here in America. We're a hair uptight about it. I shouldn't say just here in America. There's a lot of Asian countries as well that come down very hard on getting all messed up. Of course, here in the United States, we've been pro-alcohol, but there was that little prohibition thing, by the way, that was authored right here in the good old state of Minnesota. But I wonder what it was after World War II. We just got a little uptight and said, no one's getting stoned. No one's getting high. No one's smoking the wacky tobacco.
Well, you always got to look at who benefits from this sort of this nonsense. And it's, these wedge issues, politicians, to your, like you said, politicians realize one thing. Well, they always realize if you can create an us and them or the other, the stoners are coming for your children. They love to do this.
I know,
this.
But you get so much tax money out of it. They really benefit. I mean, look.
Took a while. It's coming around.
Who's getting the most out of it? Not even the people getting stoned. I mean, it's we're talking about some big time tax dollars here. That's the big payoff. It seems to me that they get what they want, all the money in the world. And we're stoned. We don't care what you do with it anymore.
Psilocybin, well, that is the compound in psychedelic mushrooms.
Yeah.
It has, and for a long time, many people have known this. It is helping people to treat depression, alcoholism, another condition that's for some people this has certainly been beneficial. And again, the post-traumatic stress disorder. It's like everything when used appropriately and responsibly can show it can be a great assistance to people who are struggling with those things. Or in the case of a young Tony Lee, it just helps you get just cooked out of your gourd, and it relaxes you to go out and have a good time like God intended.
It keeps your balance so you don't fall over.
Exactly. That's exactly
you're
what it
right.
does.
I've watched several documentaries on that. It's highly effective and life-changing for these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And for those of us that don't suffer from anything like that,
sometimes you just want to get into a room and enjoy yourself without a whole lot of external stimulation.
Yeah, right, exactly. I just don't, no one's required as hard to entertain, required to work as hard to entertain me. Any little thing will do. A spoon. I could just watch a spoon for an hour.
Oh, spoons rock.
Yeah, they do.
I got to tell you, from personal experience, if you find yourself having ingested some psilocybin, some mushrooms, just some SpongeBob will take care of you.
Yeah.
You're good to go for hours. You are not going to harm anyone. You're not going to want to move. You're just going to laugh. It's going to be good.
I highly recommend doing a radio show if you have that option.
God.
If that's something you can pull off. Then, try doing a radio show just stoned out of your gourd. It's not bad.
Candace, to the kids these days, and I'm including you in the kids these days, as you are of a future generation from the rest of us. When you were a kid, when you were a high school kid down in, where are you from?
Richfield.
Oh, that's right, Richfield. That's right. No, when you were growing up in Richfield, were shrooms a thing? Was acid a thing?
No. I mean, we did, I mean,
well, yeah, no,
I didn't do it
okay.
until college,
Right.
but I had friends that tried.
You were aware of it.
Yes. It was crazy that I've only done it. Well, I've done it twice, but the first time was really fun. We watched the movie From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That
was intense. Yeah.
I came around to psychedelics later in life. By later in life, I mean I was not a teenager. I was in my mid to late 20s. And I think that probably helped me along. I don't think me at 18 or 19 would have been benefited by any of this. I think it would have just thrown me into a cataclysmic sort of, what does it all mean? And when I had kind of gotten some answers, then I was much more able to go about my business after the day after trying some hallucinogenics. And it was, but even that, like weed, it was never I was never like a regular user of any drugs. Alcohol, that always worked for me. I got control of that and can handle it. The rest of the stuff, there but for the grace of God go I, because for everybody who's benefited from this, there's a million stories of, but I had a bad trip and this happened.
Yeah.
And of course, I think it's a given, just like with alcohol, which is not only legal, but it's promoted on every billboard and every bus and every Super Bowl ad. I mean, alcohol is just shoved down your throat from an early age that's okay, whereas weed and mushrooms are not. We're coming around to your point, Zeb, too. By the way, there's a tax base legalizing these things is going to boost the economy. It's going to bring in a lot of tax dollars from the sales. And like alcohol, we all know people who have struggled with alcoholism, who've had their lives, cratered because of that. We know people who have a cocktail and have a good time and get up the next day and it's no big deal. So everybody is their own. Every case is it's unique. We're not suggesting everybody go out and grab a bag of mushrooms and go crazy, but we are saying, I'm saying anyway, I don't mean to speak for everybody else, I think it's a good thing to decriminalize these sort of situations because consenting adults in their own home should never be wondering if they have to close the blinds before they eat a stem.
Right, exactly.
That's me. That's just me.
I'm just more curious than anything else because here in my mid-50s, I've seen it only being done one way. And now I'm curious how it's going to look when we decriminalize this stuff and what it's going to look like the other way. I have no idea if it's going to be good or bad for society, but I'm curious. And, yeah, it'll be nice to be able to enjoy these things at a time in my life when I can. I'll tell you, I'd get started on all this stuff late. I didn't even smoke pot in high school. We didn't have pot in Woolsey, South Dakota. Yeah. I think we had something called ditchweed that I smoked once and got a little bit of a headache. But I was like, nah, I'm back to the old Milwaukee. Thank you very much. So it wasn't until later in life, and I'd even gotten out of the service and all that stuff, that I started messing around with pot, and then acid came along, and there were some shrooms. There hasn't been abundance of it, of that in my life, but enough to have a little bit of fun with it here and there. And now that I'm at a point in my life where I know recreationally I can enjoy myself. I'm not going to go out and be driving and partying all the time, all night long, and doing unsafe things. I've kind of got my act together a little bit. So now I'm ready to enjoy it. So let's give it a whirl and see what happens. Let's watch society crumble even further. Well, not give a rat's rear now.
Plenty of people who think that's going to be the case. Yeah. I'm on the side of as long as we all don't lose our heads and go over the top. Like everything. Just a little bit of moderation, a little bit of let's investigate. Let's put your toe in the water before you dive in head first, and I think we'll all get through this okay. By the way, and I'm gonna switch gears here pretty quickly. There was a story last week. A few people out west, and by out west I just mean anywhere beyond the border. Like once you hit the Dakotas, you're out west in my mind. Yeah. There was a bison attack. Yeah. A couple was hiking. I think this was in Montana. Hiking along, a guy and an adult couple. On a hike, and the guy was actually planning to propose to his girlfriend when they got to a certain point, but they interrupted a couple bisons. It's mating season. The woman was gored, not killed. She was gored. She's in the hospital. And it's a tough thing. And then there's always those reminders like, hey, guys, these are wild animals. Most of the time, a bison's going to look at you and look away and not care. But if that one time he decides he's kind of pissed off, you're in trouble. They're 3 times faster than the human. They're great at a sprint, and they've got those, what do you call them, horns. Right. They don't play around.
A ton.
And so that happened last week. And then now Yellowstone National Park on Saturday, park rangers announced they had found a woman who had come across a grizzly bear. She's no longer with us. A grizzly attack in Yellowstone Park. They have not given any details on who she was or the situation other than they said on a trail west of the park, she, rounded the wrong bend, and there was a grizzly, and one thing led to another, and she's no longer with us.
Was there a picnic basket involved?
Yeah, well,
picnic.
It's
3 syllables.
It's a heavily hiked trail. I've been on that trail a few times, and so people know Yellowstone National Park. 95% of it is in Wyoming. There is a slice of it that is on the north side and the west side in Montana. And there's on the west gate in Montana, it's called West Yellowstone. Yeah. And it was a trail that happened just outside of Yellowstone by only a few miles in this area called West Yellowstone, this small, tourist town down there. And they've shut that area down now as well. But taking out with the grizzly, I think the thing that's the big story in Montana with the grizzlies now is they've expanded. It was Captain Floyd on the Lewis and Clark expedition was attacked by a grizzly. We saw kind of a version of it in The Revenant. But that happened out in the middle of South Dakota. That's where grizzlies are of the badger family. They used to be in the Great Plains, out there with elk as well. That's where America, or push west, push the grizzlies into the Rockies. Black bears are forest animals. They've got claws that climb trees. Grizzlies don't. They'll climb a tree, but their claws are made for digging. So they're more from the badger family. But you're seeing them out now in areas in Montana that they have not been seen in over 100 years.
Wow.
Where they're not as bear aware. In fact, there have been several sightings out by Billings, and they have not seen grizzlies out there since the 19th century. So they're expanding. It's a great conservation story how the grizzly bear has come back around. But as it does, and each grizzly needs about 100-mile radius. Each male boar, that's redundant. Each boar needs about 100-mile radius. That's its That's its territory.
All of this. Marlon Perkins with us on the KQ Morning Show.
I spent some time out there, and you do. When you realize that you could run into these things, I think 7 or 8 people were killed in about a 5-year span when I was there. I started going, maybe we ought to take a bear class. I don't know.
Yeah,
crap
no kidding.
About
Okay,
bears.
one quick question then, because I'm, I don't go to places like Yellowstone. I don't go on these hikes unless I'm in a large group of people, several of whom know the area, all that kind of thing. I am not Mr. Nature. Bear spray. Yeah. Does it actually work?
Yeah, it does work. And I know a lot of guys that hunt, and there will be guys around here who go, no, I'll just take my good old 44
Does it come out like
Magnum.
a stream, or is it just a spray like an aerosol?
A huge cloud, a cloud that might be 6 or 7 feet high, and it throws it out there.
Okay.
And it comes with a kick. It'll almost knock it out of your hand. And this and the bear spray is so toxic that it's a felony to use it on human beings. I found when I gave my daughter a can of bear spray in Minneapolis to protect herself. You can't. Yeah, you can't. Don't do that.
That's right where my brain went, which is, why don't we all walk around with bear spray?
We have a police officer in the family who goes, that's a federal, she could melt someone's face off. I said, well, then after the rapist's face is melted off, we'll deal with the charges. We'll get a good lawyer. But yeah, this stuff is nasty. It's big, and what it does is it takes away their ability to breathe. It almost like suffocates them and blinds them, and it's really an irritant. It doesn't do any of that, but it's supposed to give them, make them run away or give you a chance to be able to back away from the bear. Often it doesn't work, but they say, I know people that live out there, forest rangers, hunters, that say they'd rather have their bear spray on them than a 44 Magnum. When it comes to a grizzly, because you're not going to pump enough rounds into a bear to really slow it down.
If a bear's going to get me, he's going to do it in the middle of a city. That's what I've decided.
They're going to get you out there. This poor woman just out for a hike on a very heavily hiked trail. And 80% of bear attacks are surprise. That's why people wear bells. And when we're out hiking, we're like, bear, come here, hey, bear, coming around the corner, bear. It's kind of what I do, let them know, because you don't want to surprise them. When you surprise a grizzly, they attack. That's just their instinct. And that's what happened. It appears in the case of this woman, and there'll be more of that stuff until we can figure out how to.
All right, well. That's our bear lesson for the day. Let's hit it. We got to get moving.
Yeah, let's get moving.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Monday, July 24th. Not to be confused with Saturday, August 12th. That is the night Grand Funk Railroad will be rocking the Ledge Amphitheater, and we are about to give away a couple of tickets to that show. Oh, baby. Let's give away some concert tickets. What do you say? We're going to play a game we call... Well, wait, Tony, what do we call this game?
We're gonna call it this.
Why should I believe you?
Why should I believe you?
You can trust us.
I hope you'll trust us.
Trust us.
Let's find out if you'll trust us.
Now, why should I trust you?
Why? Why should I trust you?
Come on. You f***ed up. You trusted us.
Listeners, do you really know us? Really? Can we be trusted? Well, we're going to each make a statement about ourselves, and you guess if it's true or false. It's just professional grade fun.
Wow. So we're just full of crap, and we're going to see who can separate the wheat from the chaff?
Mm-hmm.
That really doesn't make any sense at all. I just thought I'd throw something out there. So we're going to play a game called Trust Us. So this works how? We all give a statement about ourselves?
We're going to go around, make a statement about yourselves, and the listener will guess, is that really true about you, or did you make it up?
I like it a lot. All right, then, let's get to it. Candace, who is caller contestant number 1?
Diane from Amory, Wisconsin.
Diane, good morning. Diane. Hey!
Good. Just good.
Are you with us?
I am with you.
All right. Are you ready to play Trust Us?
Yes, I am.
Good answer. All right. Tony, why don't you guide us through? Who's going first here?
Who wants to go first? Anyone want to volunteer?
Go ahead, Candace. Diane's ready to go.
Okay, Diane. So when I graduated college, I went on a Euro trip with my best friend in the world, Felicia. On our first night in Athens, my hair started on fire from a bar candle, and I lost quite a bit of it.
Whoa. Wow. Is that?
I believe.
Sorry, Diane, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I kind of believe that.
Thanks, Diane.
Is it true?
No. It's not true. It actually.
No, she didn't guess.
She did.
She said, I believe that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So wait, you've never been to Italy? You've been lying this entire time?
No, okay. I did go to Athens with my friend Felicia, but her hair started on fire. Sorry, it was a little bit of a trick question.
Boy.
Twist.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a jerk.
Really? Sorry, Diane. Diane, we've learned that Candace is a jerk.
Tricky.
We all were with you on believing that story. That's how that goes. But it's okay. You know, you're just one miss. You got 3 more chances here. Let's just keep it rolling. Zepp, get laid on Diane.
All right. Brian Zepp is my radio name. I shortened it from my real name, Brian Zapinski.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, that is not true, actually.
Wow.
Zapinski.
Diane was so confident with her answer. I was like, I didn't know that was true.
Yeah, no, it's just good old Zepp.
Okay,
No
Diane.
Zapinski. Sorry, Diane.
Let's bounce back. Tony, go ahead.
Okay, the year was 2011. I was on Siesta Key Beach in Sarasota, Florida, when a pelican swooped by me. My hat strangely blew off, and it was up on the great bird's head and stayed there as it flew for about 200 yards down the coast. I captured it on video, and I won $10,000 on America's Funniest Home Videos. Is that true or false?
That one's false.
You are correct.
Right.
Did not happen.
Man.
Sounds like something that would happen
It
to
does.
No, I love pelicans, but nope.
I love pelicans too.
Wow. All right, Diane. Good job. You can go you can bat 500 if you get this one right. I will share with you this fact. The highest title of honor the governor of Kentucky can bestow on someone is the Kentucky Colonel. It's a recognition of an individual's noteworthy accomplishments and outstanding service to the community and state. I, Steve Gorman, am a Kentucky Colonel.
I'm going to believe that.
As well you should.
All right.
Wow.
No, that's
I
gotta
am
get
a
into the key to
Kentucky.
the city
I
down
am
there
a
now.
Kentucky Colonel.
I salute you, sir.
Long story short, my brother just knew the governor. I guess he just wrote a letter, and all of a sudden I was like, I don't think I did anything to get it. But hey, I'm in there.
Nice.
I'm in there. All right, Diane, you started slow, but you rebounded. You went 2 for 4. Well done. Hang tight. We'll see how you do. Candace, who is contestant number 2?
Jake from Cambridge.
Jake, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you ready for a little Trust Us?
Yes, I am.
All right, you know how it goes, so we'll just take you down. We'll just take you down the Trust Us road. Candace, what do you got for Jake?
I once was a chauffeur for Danny Trejo.
No.
I was, actually.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, I picked him up and his buddies. It was for a little motorcycle ride, and yeah, he's a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
You chauffeured Danny Trejo. That's fantastic.
Machete.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They killed about 12 people on the way to the motorcycle show.
Were any red lights run? Was there a fender bender?
Oh, I was geeking out so hard. I asked him about Heat, but mostly I wanted to know about the one episode he guest starred in on Alias, and I wanted to know all about Jennifer Garner. So.
I'm sure Danny Trejo loves nothing more than talking about Jennifer Garner, a woman he hasn't seen in 20 years.
Yeah. I understand he loves to talk about his taco trucks out there.
Taco.
All right, Jake, 0 for 1, but all is not lost by a long shot. Brian Zepp, what do you got?
I'm still trying to get over the whole Colonel thing. You realize that's all I'm going to call you till the end of time.
That works perfectly fine.
Okay.
You'd be in good company. Fun fact.
All right.
That's what David Bowie said to me when I was introduced to him. He said, I'm going to call you the Colonel.
Oh, nice.
When he heard I was from Kentucky. And I wasn't even an official Colonel yet.
I love it.
Now you and Bowie are right there together in my mind.
That's all I've ever wanted to hear come out of anyone's lips. All right, Jake. I once hosted a popular disco request show on the radio called Saturday Night at the 70s. That's true. I did.
Jake's like, oh, yeah.
I did. It was fun. It was cool.
That does sound fun. Jake, well done. 1 for 2. Tony, what have you got for Jake?
Jake, when I lived on campus, my friend took a semester off, and for something to do, he would dress up like he worked for the Secret Service and drove me to class, opened the door for me, and made many students wonder who I was and why I was so important. That did happen. Dave Drotz, who was 6'5", he would wear shades and a long trench coat, pull up in front of Kaufman Unit, the crowded student union. He would open my car door, shake my hand, and hand me my backpack. And
that is fantastic.
I got the strangest looks. It was incredible fun.
It's very Ferris Bueller for some reason, yeah.
My buddy JT back in the day, if he was going out with a girl, he'd say, like, hey, we're going over to Friolero's for a burrito. At 7:15, call and ask for me. So anywhere he would go, he'd, sir, are you JT? There's a phone call for you. And he thought that was the sign of, look how important I am. People are tracking me down at fast food establishments all over the city. Nice. All right, Jake, final run. This is from yours truly. I once had a 4-hour dinner with Don Rickles. Sorry?
Yes.
Yes. It is true. That's right.
4 hours.
4 hours. It was a big event, and we were at a table for 4 hours. Oh, and by the end of it, Rickles was literally losing his mind. It's like, let's get it moving, people. He was letting everyone know he was ready to leave.
What's the best insult he gave you?
First thing he said, he sat down and he said, hey, Don. I said, hey, I'm Steve. He goes, Steve, about 90 cents. It's about this, and he held up his thumb and forefinger. He goes, it's about this long. You could buy it at any store in the country. It's called a comb. First words out of his mouth. I've never been happier in my life.
I love it. Oh, well, we share that in common. I was once insulted by Don Rickles.
Nice. Well done. What was your insult?
I accidentally hung up. I was trying to coordinate a call between him and another radio host, and I accidentally hung up on him while I was in the studio in New York, and he accused me of trying to milk steers. Oh.
There you go. That always works.
Yeah.
I even know that one.
Yeah.
Hey, so fair enough right there. What we've got is Diane with a fine comeback, but not quite enough. You went 2 for 4. Jake went 3 for 4. Jake, you have won tickets to see Grand Funk Railroad Saturday, August 12th at the Ledge Amphitheater. Thanks both for playing. Congrats, Jake.
Yeah.
There you have it.
I love it. All right. We're all familiar with procrastinating, right? Some of us all too familiar. Have made
it's a way of life.
Very much so. What about precrastinating? It's real.
No.
Yeah, it's real, and experts say it's even worse than procrastination. Hang tight. We'll tell you all about it here at 8 o'clock. Hang on.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Monday, July the 24th. Good morning. First things first. Sincere thanks to everybody who joined us on the boat Friday night. The KQRS rocking the 80s cruise. It was fantastic. A night off of Harriet Island in St. Paul. Great rocking band. Great bunch of listeners. 400 strong. Rocking the boat on the river Friday night. Tony Lee gets the high five for life. For showing up, the hybrid / Michael Jackson. Who else was represented there with that costume you were wearing? It was fantastic.
Bob Saget, I believe.
There was a the little tip of the cap to Saget. You were covering all your bases.
Yeah, I thought I saw a little new wave in there as well. Yeah, you get it all going. Some neon.
Yeah, I mean, it was really original, but there were quite a few guys and maybe one woman with that same wig. And all night I was like, Tony, oh. Nope. Tony. Oh,
yeah.
Nope.
We have the same stylist.
Right. Yeah. I like I saw a Billy Idol wig there. That was strong. I saw a mohawk too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was no shortage of. And I do want to say one thing, and I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to, pick nits here. But a great costume. But somebody was on board as the dude.
You're right.
Oh,
I did
from The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, that was Don, yeah.
Great, Don. Great job. But, bro, the movie came out in 1998.
Right. I don't think he was in costume.
Oh, he wasn't.
I don't know that Don was.
The White Russian is what really kind of confirmed that was a costume to me.
Oh, the dude does abide by the White Russian. Yeah.
Which, for the record, trust me, please go as the dude anywhere, anytime, for any reason. I'm just pointing out it was just my first thought. It was always a pleasure to catch up and say, hey, what's up?
I didn't see the White Russian. I thought perhaps he was doing the Cousin Eddie National Lampoon Christmas Vacation, perhaps.
Could have been.
No, the White Russian would have been the dude thing.
Yeah, no, he was the dude.
Fantastic time had by all. Candace gave a Sweet Child of Mine rendition that they're still talking about. Oh, I'm still talking about it. It was great.
It was fun.
I loved it.
Singing with Rough House. They're so nice guys, and fun times. We have Kenny from Ramsey on the line. He was on the boat.
Kenny was on the boat. Kenny, good morning.
Good morning.
Did you have a good time, sir?
We had a blast. I talked to you for a little bit, and I talked to Brian a little bit. For some reason, I kind of missed Candace.
Sorry.
I don't know how, but
I guess she was mobbed by people the entire time.
You can't get near Candace on those cruises.
Yeah,
everybody
luck.
needs their Candace time.
Can he do it?
Yeah. No, we had a great time.
Well, that's awesome. Were you in costume, sir?
Oh, no. Well, I had on an 80s psychedelic shirt, kind of, but
that works.
Yeah, right. Counts. For sure. Absolutely, man.
My girlfriend was with Sylvia. She's in a wheelchair. Get this, Brian.
Yeah.
She fell off of my motorcycle last Saturday.
Oh.
Trying to get on the motorcycle and cracked her kneecap.
So trying to get on, she fell off? What, did you butter your seat? How'd that work?
She just lost her balance, and, she was swinging her leg over, and she went backwards down onto a curb.
Ooh.
She had a helmet on, though, so she didn't hurt her head, but she put a little crack in her kneecap.
Well, still made the party, though.
Yeah, better than moving down the road and falling off, I guess. You weren't popping a wheelie, were you, Kenny?
No, I didn't even have it started.
All right, okay.
We just
accuse you of that.
North of Stillwater, and we were leaving, and she just lost her balance.
That's a tough
She's
one.
Fine. She's fine now. It's another week or so. She'll be good and go.
Yeah.
But we had a riot. Just wanted to let you guys know that we had a great time.
Well, thank you, brother, for the call. Thanks for coming out, but then thanks for giving us a shout today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going up north with you guys for the weekend.
Oh, hell yeah, you
Fine
are.
idea.
Yeah,
What's
man.
to think about, man? Pull the trigger. Let's go.
Get to the website. Pick your tickets up now. KQRS.com. What's the actual website?
92 KQRS.
92. I was going to say, wait, I'm leaving the numbers out. 92KQRS.com.
Some combination there of Kenny had one of my favorite business cards ever. He gave me a business card, not on this boat trip, but on the karaoke boat cruise that we did, Kenny. He's a handyman, and it says, his name's Kenny. Kenny do it. Get it?
Oh, yeah.
Kenny,
No.
Like it?
With no, not so much.
I don't get it.
Sorry, Kenny, I tried.
It's not the best. It says, I can.
All right. Well, I was drunk both times. Thanks, Kenny, for the call.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Kenny.
you got to go.
Thanks, Kenny. Kenny Do It, which is Kenny Do It, Islands in the Stream. Kenny and Dolly, they had a duet.
Oh, yeah.
See?
I think mine was better.
Yeah, it was pretty good. That was pretty good. Well, I'm glad Kenny was there. I'm glad Kenny's lady friend was there in the chair.
Yeah.
After falling off the bike.
Yeah.
Man, never say die attitude from those guys.
I love all the Madonna bows in the hair. I think that's just a darling
so
look.
Cute. Yes.
Man, it's pretty fantastic. And by the way, I did not enter that boat with any intention of sitting in on a song. I can tell you that for sure. I was as surprised as anyone that happened.
You're going to start having to wear a cast when you come out to these things. You know you're going to get asked every time.
Yeah, that's actually probably a great idea. Or just a sling. I don't even need the cast.
Just the sling. You're right.
It was awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
The whole thing was great, and it really was. The whole night was fantastic. You mentioned a second ago, Zep. Let's get to this. I am
procrastinating.
I am a lifelong procrastinator.
Oh my God, I'm to a fault here.
When the switch gets flipped, I can be a very efficient and very hardworking young lad. But I will sit and take my sweet ass time before that switch gets flipped.
Yeah,
it's just something I've always done. And then I've read lately, especially once you have kids, you start really paying attention to like, oh my gosh, why are they acting just like me? This is terrible. I've got to make them better than me. My kids are both procrastinators, and then you see the occasional article, and it says actually it's a way of it's emotional well-being. Procrastination is a way to steady your nerves or dealing with past trauma. I've seen a million things about procrastination and what it really means. I grew up in a house where I was led to believe I'm just a lazy sumbitch. Yeah. I mean, that's just how that goes. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But when I'm fired up, I can get a lot done.
Yeah.
This is a new one. Not procrastination. I guess we've all moved on and just accepted that's normal. Precrastination. For the procrastinator with discernment. You want to get a jump on your procrastination? Try this, precrastination. This is something that researchers at the University of California, Riverside are studying at length, as my dad would say. Get that G out of there, at great length. It's a tendency to act quickly and make decisions. It's driven by our desire to have a clear mind. And apparently, an awful lot of folks love to make snap decisions and commit to just so they don't have to take any time to think about the consequences. Okay. People just like to just shoot from the hip and move on to the next thing. And I can tell you, not this guy. It sounds great. It'd be awesome to just do everything like on a snap judgment. I could use a little bit more of that in my life.
So procrastination, I'm coming at it from Dad's point of view, my dad, because he was the same way. Procrastinating was just you were the laziest SOB on the planet. And that was me. But precrastinating, he would call this acting before you think, maybe too quickly.
Right.
Yeah, you just jump. There's a task at hand, and you just jump in, and by the time you've screwed it up, you realize, I should have taken a moment and thought about what I was doing.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, I'm one or the other. I'm not the person that takes the appropriate amount of time and does it right. I either act way too quickly and really F it up, or my tendency really is to just procrastinate and hope that it goes away or does itself.
Regardless of which any one of us would enact, to your point, my dad would have been completely crushing you for either. Because, you had your acting before you think, and then you had paralysis by analysis. There's no winning. It's like, where's the sweet spot? Like if presented with several bits of information and an assignment, do you start a stopwatch? You've got 7 minutes to think about this, and then 9 minutes to execute. By God, 16 minutes is all you get. I mean, what's the perfect protocol for how to make decisions in life? I don't know.
It seems to me there's probably an equation in there somewhere. But again, I'm going to come in with your vote. I don't know.
There's a conclusion of the study really quickly.
Yeah.
The study concludes believing in the utility of cross-partisan empathy that can decrease partisan animosity and build consensus. Okay, never mind. I'm falling asleep. Sorry. That's it's like these are kind of interesting, and then you actually read the article, and then you start really thinking about the science behind it, and then you go, no, I'm sorry, I can't possibly keep up with that.
Yeah, that one's heavy. You got to think about that one too much.
Another term. Okay, so now we've got precrastination. How about this one? And again, to your point, Zep, we're just putting new names on old things.
Yeah.
How about ghost lighting?
What?
Ghost lighting. Now, this is not
like gaslighting.
This is ghost lighting is not the time honored. This is not you and your friends walking down train tracks at night with a flashlight looking for ghosts. There's always that ghost wandering with the lantern. You can see the lantern as the train disappears from town.
Yeah.
No, ghost lighting is a combination of gaslighting and ghosting.
All right. Wait a second. All right. So
how does one do that? Gaslighting
is when you make someone question their reality by just throwing nonstop BS at them.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. You said that. And it happens. Ghosting is when you just drop someone from your life. You stop responding to their calls or their texts. You just ghost somebody. Ghostlighting is a ghastly combination of the two. It's when you disappear. So you start out by ghosting someone.
Yeah.
Then they call you out for it. And then you say, no, I wasn't ghosting you. I'm just really busy.
Oh, I do that all the time. I'm a ghostlighter.
Yeah, I guess I am too.
It's also called being real with someone. Yeah, I'm tied up, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There was a time in my life when if you texted me, you got a response back immediately. I don't even look at text messages half the time anymore. I'm busy. I got a lot going on. I'm in a new town. I got a new gig. I got a dog. I got things in my life. And, it's just how it goes.
I saw a friend on Saturday, and I just happened to notice, you've seen my emails, but you get so many junk emails. I don't clean out the junk, so I have a lot of unopened emails. But I sift through and look for the pertinent ones, the important ones, and just skip past the junk and don't take the time to delete them. But I saw on my friend's phone over the weekend as she sat next to me that she had 58, I believe, texts. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, it's the busiest phone ever. She's like, I never check them. I thought, okay, wow. I'm still a little weird about the texting. I still get on top of my texts and I stay on top of them. At least daily. You know?
I see them. I just don't respond. I don't feel the need to respond. And I guess I have an algorithm in my brain that says respond immediately or you'll come back to it. Sometimes I forget to go back to it.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Wow.
Well, Candace, you said you like to ghost light, so you'll ghost someone. You're not above that. But then when they come back at you, you won't admit to it. You'll just say you were busy.
Yeah, it's just you know what I need? I need a long distance relationship. That would be great for me.
Oh, my God. You're sounding more and more like me.
It's just a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Long distance relationship. No, I trust it worked. It worked. My wife and I started. I was on the road half the year. So we had a constant you're coming to see me. It's great. And then, you're leaving. I'll miss you. And then you get home and it's great. And, we always had that. And then when I stopped touring, we went through a brief period of time where it was kind of like the war bride, and then now the guy's home with all the trauma and this is what I'm really like, and she's like, oh, we're looking at each other going, who the hell are you? It took a little bit. But all is well. But the long distance relationship can be a wonderful thing in the early years for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're someone like Candace.
Yeah.
Ghost lighter.
Yeah, that's exactly
Candace.
it.
All right, well, let's get weird at 8:30. You guys want to get weird?
I'm totally down for getting weird.
Okay, we have 2 stories. What do you think is creepier? All right, 2 stories. You decide which one's creepier. At 8:30. They're both pretty damn creepy. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Monday, July 24th. Hey, in about 30 minutes, we're going to be joined on this show by Kip Winger. Remember the band Winger?
I remember
the late
the hair,
80s? Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. There's a new show on Paramount Plus called I Want to Rock the 80s Metal Dream. Or the Candace Wheeler dream. And we're going to speak with Kip Winger, who was one of those guys rocking in the 80s. That's going to be at 9 o'clock. In the meantime, oh, boy, you were talking about gross versus gross.
Right.
A couple of gross stories. I think the grosser one, okay, everybody's got skin, everybody's got hair. Yeah. At least at some point in life.
Yeah.
Let's start with skin, shall we?
All right.
I think this is the one. A woman from the United Kingdom lost over a few years of focused weight loss after her. Let's see. Here's the deal. She had her second child. She was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. She put on a lot of weight. In order to manage the diabetes, she went on a keto diet, started working out. She lost 84 pounds. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic. Great success story. But after losing 84 pounds, she had a lot of, extra skin. She had a lot of flappy sort of situations happening on her abdomen. She had some of that surgically removed.
Uh-huh.
She took a 4 pound of excess skin, a shank of 4 pounds, and she hung on to it. She didn't say, yes, just throw that away, do away with it. She said, I'd like to keep that 4 pounds of excess skin.
Why? Why?
Well, because then she put it in her freezer for a few months.
Oh.
Why?
And then now she's turned it into leather.
No.
She has leathered her own abdomen skin, her belly fat skin, extra skin.
It's resourceful.
The belly button.
It's just it just looks like, including the navel, it just looks like it looks like a pelt of some. It just looks like a bunch of tissue from any animal. It happens to be human. She leathered herself.
That's disgusting. Here I have a little bit of her. Her name's Katie Taylor.
I did ask to keep my skin. Well, so I have tanned it into leather Human vegan leather.
No, it's even creepier with the accent. What's vegan leather? How's it vegan?
Right. And then she added,
it rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Exactly. Oh my God, they kind of sound like they should be brother-sister.
I did ask to keep my skin. Well, so I have tanned it into leather. Human vegan leather.
Yeah.
Human vegan leather.
Or else it gets the hose again.
And she says, look, I'm an artist. I mean, this is how I think about things. I want to turn this into a piece of art. It's a reminder of where I came from, how I got to where I am today, and how incredible and resilient the human body is. Okay, yeah, but this is removed from you. I mean, and to your point, okay, so you want to hang on to it, great, do so. But wouldn't a photograph have done the same thing? And why do we now? Why are you going to display this in public? I think if you display your former girth in a leathered form, you're just inviting, well, ridicule, which you could say we're providing, but I think the freaks are going to come out of the woodwork.
Oh yeah,
inspiring a movement, perhaps.
Are you the lady with the tummy leather?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to be friends, isn't it?
Oh, all right, I found it here. You could make this into a fanny pack and just wear it where you used to have it, right? You know, just
I guess
put something in there.
That's
make it
possible.
Practical. It's weird. It does have the belly button hole in it. That's disgusting.
In a world where Dr. Pimple Popper is not someone it's not a nickname for a friend from high school, but rather an actual successful cable TV series.
Yeah,
a woman who's popping pimples on her customers, on her patients. I guess this shouldn't surprise us too much.
Okay, did you scroll down and see them turning it into leather? The actual process of the scraping of the fat from the skin.
I looked away.
Brother.
No, I looked away. No. I could have, and I chose not to.
Oh.
I love a resourceful woman.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I can't think about this and try to argue for it.
No.
Because I just get really nauseous the more that I think about it.
She's crafty.
Right. Well, she did make soap out of that fat. That's
resourceful to me means someone who gets two uses out of a paper towel.
Right.
You know, you dry it over the back of a chair, and you're like, hey, I can soak up another spill tomorrow with this sheet of Bounty. That's all the resourcefulness I'm looking for.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't need you turning your body parts into some sort of other parts of anything. And speaking of weird body parts, here's the other one we saw that we were all going, what on earth? An Australian woman has a hairball. I don't mean her cat has a hairball. I mean an Australian woman for 23 years has been taking all of the hair off of her head and putting it into one giant hairball.
Oh.
Have hairball will travel. She leaves the house with it in a bag or in a. She has a special bag. She saves strands of her hair from the shower drain, from her brush, from her combing. It's a woman with a lovely long head of hair to begin with. And for 23 years, every time she brushes or combs her hair, she pulls the hair out. I mean, I knew it. Everybody knows somebody who has a rubber band ball. Yeah, I just started building it. Every time I get a rubber band, I add it to the ball. And there's this giant, it's like the size of a grapefruit. And you're like, that's kind of weird, dude. Okay, guess we're not going to be as good of friends as I thought maybe. This is a whole nother level. 23 years of collecting your own hair into a ball. And it is, it's bigger than any sort of ball you would use in a sport. It's beach ball size.
Yeah, it is. It's and she carries it around. Yeah. I wonder, did she pull that rat out of the tub drain and rinse that off and add it to it?
Yeah. She pulls it right out of the drain. Yeah, you know it. She's got This is just it's a bizarre thing. And her daughter, there's pictures of her as an article in the paper, and her daughter's laughing, going, yeah, people get the weirdest reactions, and my mom thinks it's funny. Well, yeah, I guess they would. You're pulling out what I from the looks of it from across the street, you could think that's any number of things. The one thing that wouldn't come to mind is, well, naturally, it's just 23 years of her human head hair.
I mean, just head hair?
Now, I've got a mosaic that I've been working on for years. That's just all my toenails. That's a different thing. That's art. That's art.
Was noodle art when you showed me a picture of it.
Yeah, those are not elbow macaronis. Those are my toenails.
I
That's
do love
different.
a resourceful man.
See, you're all about the resourcefulness of your fellow friends. I had I've never had a hairball. I've never collected my hair. But I will say in 1997, I had very long hair, and I started to notice, I was on the road a lot, on the back of my head, and as I started to tell the story, I just reached back there as if I would find its long-lost cousin. A single, dreadlock started to appear in my hair. Just one day you're like, oh, I guess I haven't put a brush through there in a long time. I've got, the beginnings of a dreadlock, just a mat of hair. And then it grew, and then at some point I was like, I wonder how big this thing could get. Well, the answer is pretty darn big if you literally just commit to a dreadlock. My hair was halfway down my back, but you wouldn't have known that because on the back of my head I had this one giant clump. It was just like, people say oh, he has dreadlocks. Well, for me it was he has a dreadlock, one. And it was the entire back of my head by the time I hit the summer part of the tour. And it was just so ridiculous. And I'd wash it. It was a clean dreadlock as much as it could be. And everybody kept saying, you're just going to have to get it cut out. And when you get it cut out, you're going to have a giant hole in the, in the back of your hair.
You have to go to a dog groomer for something.
I should have. I should have gone to a dog groomer because what I did instead, had a couple days off in the fine city of Portland, Oregon. And I went to the drugstore and I bought a bottle of conditioner and a brush, two things I don't travel with. And I went to my room and I was like, all right, I'm just going to fill this thing with conditioner and start brushing it out and see it. And it was hours and hours. And by hours, not 2 or 3, but it was 6 or 7 hours spent cumulatively over the course of the whole day off in the hotel. Just more conditioner and brush and brush and brush. And it finally, by the end of the night, by God, it was all out. And I could not believe how long my hair was.
Oh, Fabio.
It was really weird. I was like, and the next day, everybody show up and it was like, what? Would you get extensions? I was like, no, I finally just combed out the back dread from the back of my head.
Wow.
Pretty strange looking back. I'm wondering, what was really going through my mind at that point?
Collecting a dread on the back of your head.
Yeah, it just made sense. It's just what I thought, as always, in times like that, I just think, what would Ringo do? Well, he would have never done that. He's always had more respect for himself.
He had a proper mop.
But I brushed it out and then I just moved on with my life. I certainly didn't think of cutting it and then starting to build around it with the hair for the rest of my life.
Yeah, keeping things that shouldn't be on your body anymore. Once skin gets cut off, you don't keep it. Once the hair falls out, you don't keep
23 years of a hairball. My son, today is his 23rd birthday. So now, and I can remember very, very clearly being at St. Vincent's Hospital as he was born, and I'm like, man, I've gone through a lot of hair since then. Mm-hmm. What if I had it all right here? What if this was all the setup? Hang on, let me open this suitcase, ladies and gentlemen. What if I pulled out a 23-year-old bald hair? You guys would all, you'd make me leave the building.
Yeah.
Son, happy birthday.
I would.
You're 23 years old today. You're officially a man. Here's my hairball.
Oh, my God.
Here's a ball of your father's hair.
Immediately, everything that he thought was right about the world would be wrong.
The night you were born, I bought myself a hairbrush at the Walgreens on the corner. And I've been using it every day since. And now, son, with love, 23 years of your old man's hair. It'd be fantastic.
You have a lighted case to put it in.
It really would have been worth it all these years man, that's where was I wasn't thinking shtick at all. I really missed the boat there.
Yeah, you really did. I can't see me collecting anything. I know I dated a gal one time that collected still had all of her baby teeth that fell out. They were in a little jewelry box that she kept and showed it to me. Right, I wasn't impressed.
She
it was
kept
weird.
her own baby teeth.
Yeah, her own when she was a kid. They go into the tooth fairy's supposed to take them.
Yeah.
Well, she got hers back from mom and dad. The tooth fairy.
I think I know some parents who have their kids' baby teeth.
Yeah, that's appropriate. But you don't save your own baby teeth.
I don't know a time when I'd be like, "Can I get those back from you?"
I don't like it.
No. I think I would. If I'm asking for my baby teeth back, I'm also saying things like, it puts the lotion on its skin. I mean, that's a signal that something's gone horribly awry.
Well, if you they say the dust in your house is 80% skin follicles. I suppose you could just sweep all that up and keep it in jars.
Sweep?
The
hell I will.
You're not sweeping?
Hell you say.
The hell you will.
It rubs the lotion on its skin
Exactly.
or else it gets the hose again.
Right, then you could take the fat that you had liposuctioned out, reconstitute the skin back into skin, create... I'm just spitballing here.
Hang on. Why don't this is what I'm thinking. You could take that fat, you could take that human leather, you could attach some of your human hair to it, and then use that as a wig or as a fake beard. You know, there's something you could do that makes sense of that. Or you could just, like on Halloween, that could turn into something. You just get a nice, complicated system of levers and pulleys and some twine, and it flies around the house.
Yeah.
Did you go to that house on the street? Yeah, I was on the front porch, and they said they had almond joys, but then this weird flesh, hairy thing flew out of the corner and scared me.
Take that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good uses of these things.
You could take that flesh pouch and, sort of make it into like a bolero, sort of a sling, if you will, for the hairball.
Sure.
But that hairball, you could get big money for that. Can't you, Candace? If you were to cut off all your hair, and I know women do this, and then they sell it, they donate it, rather.
Yeah.
Some people, I guess, could sell it. Don't you get big money for that for people that
Yeah,
want
you
the
could
wigs?
definitely. I did that once, but I donated it to a nice wigs for kids, and they don't do that. They don't sell the hair.
This woman selfishly carrying around all this good hair that could be going to use somewhere.
Some talented taxidermist that's creative.
I have twice in my adult life I've gone from very long hair to completely scalped. Just got the trippers like doom all at once, and it didn't occur to me that I could do anything with that hair other than immediately put it all in a trash can and pretend it never existed in the first place. I had no idea there was so many things you could do with hair once you were done with it.
101 things to do with your hair.
I'm just glad that we got to hear the word flesh pouch out of you this morning, Zep.
Good old flesh sling coming up.
Flesh pouch.
How about Kip Winger? Yes, let's get moving along here.
Speaking of great hair.
Yeah, and he had that 5 o'clock shadow. It was like Miami Vice quality.
Always.
Yeah.
By the way, how does that happen? How do you always have just that perfect stubble? I've thought about it.
Well, we're going to ask Kip here at 9 o'clock. He's going to talk about a new rockumentary out I'm excited about coming to Paramount Plus called I Want to Rock the 80s Metal Dream. With Kip Winger, 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Monday, July the 24th. Happy 23rd birthday to my son, Connell James Gorman. Happy 23rd birthday to me becoming a responsible member of society.
Really? Was it on the day he was born? Are you sure?
I became aware of the fact that it was time to start to think about maybe one day being a responsible member of society. I did have a complete mental clearinghouse the day he was born and emotional. I was at the time in between legs of a tour and a rock band, doing my thing, living my entire world based around what I was doing and what I needed to do and what I wanted to do. And then I really did. It wasn't like a forced thing. It was like I felt relief at being able to just drop all that. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be losing sleep over, not that other nonsense. So that was a pretty great moment in time. I remember very, very clearly. Like, furthest thing from my mind was that I thought, I don't want to turn this into a Hallmark commercial. I don't want to be like, well, then once I had kids, I figured out the meaning of life. And then I was like, now that I have a kid, I know the meaning of life.
Right.
That's exactly what happened.
There is a lot of fear that comes with it, but you're right. I'm glad you touched on that point, but we don't talk about that as much when we talk about having a kid, right? But that there's a sense of comfort, like we're in our own little world now. We have a family, and my God, I have a say in this one, unlike the last one I grew up in.
It really did change all the priorities, and you can intellectualize all of that. I knew it was coming. I'm an uncle many times over. I've my siblings, my friends in life. I'm hardly the first person to be there, so I have a list. You can read it. I understand that. I get that. But the idea of it actually happening, and when it's you that it's happening to, and when it's you that it's happening with, yeah, it's a whole different thing. So 23 years of feeling pretty good about stuff.
Yeah, and you get a little cocky, too. I got cocky up because I thought when the kids get up at night and are crying after they've fed, of course, we're going to sit and listen to Dylan records, and they're going to be big Dylan fans, and they're going to be cultured, and I'm going to do all the things that my parents did not do to raise the perfect child.
Right.
And then it turns out they're just as imperfect as I am.
Sure.
So I don't know. Could have probably let anybody raise them, and they'd come out, they would have turned out the same way.
They are who they are.
They are who they are.
Anybody who's had more than one kid will tell you that the day that second kid comes, you're like, you're not acting like the other one did the day he was born. What the hell's this?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Connell was born. He was the most chill. I mean, when he would cry, it was like, he's the sweetest, quietest little guy, and he just wanted to be swaddled just as tight as you could get it, and he didn't move. He just laid there. He was this perfect, angelic, everything. And then 2 years later, my wife gave birth to our beautiful daughter, who was a Tasmanian devil from birth. Completely the opposite. You try to put a blanket around her, she'd kick it off and throw it off. And when she cried in the hospital, everybody heard it. It was 100 times louder, like night and day.
Your lead singer there.
Exactly right.
I just remember thinking that I'm never, ever going to let this little critter out of my sight, and the poor kid will never have a life.
Of course.
I will never leave.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, on Paramount Plus, there is a new documentary series, I Want to Rock, the 80s Metal Dream, a look back at the decade of hairspray and spandex when hair metal swept America and dominated the music scene. And boy, it didn't just dominate the music scene. It flat out effing dominated the music scene. And one man who was riding the wave very highly at the time of the late 80s, certainly, with his band Winger, is Kip Winger. And Kip Winger is on the horn right now. Kip, good morning, sir.
Hey, man, how are you?
All is well on this end. This show, I Want to Rock, the 80s Metal Dream. Now, I will put all of the following conversation. I got to put some context here. Your musical life has gone in a million directions. What a lot of people may not be aware of is how much classical work you've done and continue to do. And as a composer, you've just covered a wide range of musical styles. That said, but it's the late 80s. It's the hair metal, for lack of a better term, era that most people recognize your name with. Was it as fun as it looked, or were you, like many working musicians, just what was your approach? What was it like when that Winger album hit and was huge? Was it, this is a good gig, get up, put your shoulder to the wheel and work hard, or were you living the life? Or both? Both.
Yeah, it was both. I was very acutely aware that it could go away at any time, and I was always focused on the music, but I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it was very glamorous, and we definitely indulged in those first couple of years. But I never I never drank alcohol really, and I never did drugs. So Alice Cooper used to call me the briefcase rocker because I was always studying, string quartet scores in the bus and stuff. But when my band hit, we definitely indulged some, and it was quite fun, and it was really just fun to be in the scene and have some like recognition that people dig your stuff.
Sure. You mentioned Alice Cooper. You played with him as a younger musician. I can only imagine he's as bright a guy as there's ever been in the rock world. There was Alice on stage. There was Alice off stage. You probably learned an awful lot. Probably had some idea of where the lines between reality and nonsense were going into your own deal.
I say that a lot, man. That's a great point. Nobody ever brings that point up. But learning that whole thing. Before I was in Alice, I grew up in a band like many of us, so I knew what doing gigs was like. But getting in Alice Cooper's band was like getting a doctorate degree and being a rock star. And it was 6 months, I think 6 months or a year after he had gone sober. So, the band would party at night and stuff, and he'd be getting up at 6 o'clock going golfing. And so,
yeah.
But when you be on stage, I'll never forget the time when we did our first show, and he completely transformed into Alice Cooper. He was looking right in my eyes, and it was like a different person. I've never seen anything like it, never seen anything like it since. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I couldn't have had a better introduction experience into the big time than working with him, and like you said, he's highly intelligent, very funny dude.
Kip Winger is with us on the KQ Morning Show. So when you put the band together that became known as Winger and you got a record deal, how much time was spent, with an awareness of what was working, what labels wanted, what MTV wanted? Did it feel like a natural fit, or did you guys doctor and just evolve? Did you mold it into something you knew would work for that scene, that time?
Listen, I was really, I never got merch and stuff like that. I didn't know you had to have a cool logo and all that stuff. I was all like, how's this chord progression? What does this riff sound like? So, we were just one of my, deficiencies was that whole thing. So I'm looking at MTV and going, oh, well, I'll put that jacket on, Right. I didn't really drive my image the way I could have. I was following along a little too much if I had to be constructively critical about anything I did. But musically, I was really, focused on that. But to answer your question, my band came together very naturally. I met Paul and Alice Cooper, and I had met Reb at Atlantic Studios before that. And we met Rod Morgenstein by an accident. Rod, of course, was in the Dixie Dregs. And we thought it'd be cool to have a drummer that was an outlier in the rock thing and again, focused on the music. But it came together very naturally. Having said that, I mean, I got turned down by millions of record labels. And when we actually did get signed, it was like, we'll take the worst deal you can give us. Let us just prove ourselves kind of thing. And then when it all kind of happened, it all happened very fast because the record was dead for 6 months. And then all of a sudden MTV picked up one video. The video did well. Then radio followed. And then bang, you're off to the races. And we'd all had a lot of experience performing live. And so we're lucky to have an agent that got us a lot of tours that just kept us out on the road forever. That's basically how it all went.
It certainly looked that way. As a fan in a local band at that time, paying attention to what's on the radio, what's on MTV, you guys, it felt very much on the outside too, like it went from 0 to 100 really quick.
It did, too quick in some ways. It would have been nice to have a slower build and have a little bit more longevity in that period. Well, but now it's strange, man. This is our 35th anniversary, and the audiences are bigger now. In the last 5 years, it's all really grown. So
and
really lean years, but it's been great lately.
Yeah, and it has been. I want to rock the 80s metal dream as a child of the 80s, and actually I got started in radio in 88, and then seeing it just suddenly stopped. I mean, it hit the brakes, and people can say grunge or it was the 90s, just a different decade. I'm looking forward to this 3-part series on Paramount to kind of get to the bottom of, as it, because you said 0 to 100, then 100 to almost 0, but now classic rock radio features so much of that music of the 1980s. Classic hit radio, which is a huge format in the country, features so much of those 80s metal dream. What did it feel like for you as an artist when you felt this genre that you were so successful in just come crashing to an end for a time?
Well, it was very ironic for me because I got singled out, as you know, on the Beavis and Butthead thing and Metallica throwing darts at my poster and all of that. So I was like singled out in this, and it was very ironic for me personally because I made my mission to study music and be very, literate in music. And so that was quite an irony. You lose your record deal, you lose your publishing, your agent doesn't call you anymore. You can't get a gig, man. So, like I said in the documentary, I just went back. I built a studio in New Mexico and just, kind of retooled the way I approach music and started studying orchestral music and it just kept my head down and focused on the music because that was the only thing that I ever lived for anyway. So I figured, well, I still have that, and it's the one thing I can control. So I'm just going to focus on that and let the chips fall where they may. Fortunately, I wasn't like broke or anything, but you know, I just tried to do the best with what I had, which I could actually control, because I couldn't control all that other stuff.
Yeah, right.
That's very true. You know, and the truth is, everything you just said about focusing on the music, that's what got you into this. You know, there are no shortage of people who would say, yeah, if you love music, don't turn it into your job, you know, because you can just get a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. But you've been extraordinarily successful, as I said, in other realms of music. I have not yet seen this documentary, but I would imagine there are plenty of people who did just chase all of the surface stuff. They were looking at all of the icing that the late 80s provided. And I got to think that in the grand scheme of things, you're coming out pretty far ahead of just about everybody from that genre.
I appreciate that. You know what? I never, like, I knew it was going to be short, that it could be very short-lived, and I never really thought of myself as like a, quote, rock star, because I always feel like, well, McCartney's a rock star, or Mick Jagger. I mean, those guys are Alice Cooper, and my musical aspirations, especially later in life, became largely orchestral music. So being focused on that, I mean, I feel like, and I've been on stage since I was like 8. So walking on stage, I can completely turn it on and do the stage thing, but I'm not like on stage when I'm off stage. There's a lot of people that kind of, live the thing off stage like they're on stage. I'm just not one of those people. I just discovered a new French composer named Sandcan, and I'm buying the score, trying to figure out what he did with the board, because I'm kind of a theory geek and all that stuff. And that's just where I sit. And it's ironic for people to hear it, because I was also I was a total ham, like I dressed up, did all the photos, total poser, really into the theater of it all. Because I grew up that way. And so it's hard to understand where I'm coming from when you look at certain photographs of me and then hear me speaking about, Tchaikovsky and Debussy and Stravinsky and stuff. It's kind of a weird niche, but I mean, it's just who I am. It's just the honest me,
Yeah, well, authenticity is tough to fake, as they say, and to have your own sort of corner of the room and be in your own lane the way you've been, that's a job well done, sir.
I appreciate that.
You got it. I know you got a hop, man. Thanks. We're going to be checking this documentary out. Thanks for the time, Kip.
Okay, man. Have a good day.
I want to rock the 80s Metal Dream on Paramount Plus. Basically, I think I was, when I said, compared to a lot of his peers from that scene, a quicker way to say it is, man, a lot of those guys went in with nothing and left with nothing. Right. I mean, he at least had a lifetime spent as a musical student and as a player and all those things. I remember reading an interview with Jenny Lane. Warrant was another one of those bands. Everybody that was around, there's that. It's kind of, 85, 86 to 91. That was like this area, this period of time. Guns N' Roses was the first, assault on that. But it was also from LA. Same Sunset Strip scene, but they were just meaner and they didn't use quite as much hair gel at first. And then they got rid of it all. And then, of course, then Nirvana puts one video out and the whole thing falls like a house of cards. Janie Lane of Warrant said, one day I'm at Columbia Records and we're the toast of the label. And he said, and the next day I walk in and there was a picture on the wall of Alice in Chains. And I went, uh-oh.
Yep.
The difference from what they look like to what those next round of bands look like. And he knew, man, this is done. This is just, and nobody starts a band and gets a record deal thinking we're going to ride the wave. I mean, there are some people that do that. I mean, hell, a lot of those guys from metal suddenly bought flannel and tried to write Kurt Cobain songs. It didn't really work out so well. Oddly enough, the Sopranos had the greatest element of that. You remember when Christopher was going to produce a band and they were a hair metal band, but then they were trying to sound like a grunge band? It was the most realistic documentary on the music industry ever, and it was in the Sopranos of all places.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like a guy like Kip Winger, he didn't go into this thinking, okay, I'm going to ride the wave. This is what's working. He just, that works. Okay, I'll do it. But he's not putting a lot of thought into it. For the guys that did, that just said, that's it, man. I'm living this life. Those shifts happen quickly. The one thing I learned is every band, when your first record comes out, you hit the scene, you think that's day one. It's day one for you. It's for all the promoters, for the program directors, for everyone else in the business. You're just the guy they thought about for a minute on Wednesday, and the landscape's constantly shifting and evolving, and you're not in the engine. You're in the caboose. Like you're the last thing anyone cares about. And if you do last a few years more than. It's like a running back in the NFL. If you get 3 good seasons, man, you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, right.
It's the rarity, And, man, Winger was one of those bands. 2 records, goodbye, go away. But now, because they actually wrote songs, because they actually did have music, 35 years later, the original band is back touring, and they're doing well. It's a long game if you're going to stay in it.
Yeah, looking forward to the documentary. Paramount Plus, that's on. Well, we all know about the great Minnesota get-together. Steve, you're going to love this. Not far off. We'll all have a chance to get out to the state fair, drop some hard-earned money for the privilege of sweating and stinking together. I say with tongue-in-cheek. I love me the Minnesota State Fair. But how about going to the Minnesota State Fair with your family and making some money? How about making $15,000?
Oh, they have blackjack there this year? Awesome.
That's right. You're a winner. No, there's an offer out there to hit some state fairs in the Midwest with the fam and make $15,000. I'm not kidding around. We'll tell you all about it at 9:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
This is the KQ Morning Show. My name is Steve Gorman. It is Monday, July the 24th. Good morning. The Minnesota State Fair is right around the corner. And what sounds like something that's too good to be true, apparently, Brian Zepp, is anything but. So there's money to be made by attending the fair? Is that what you're telling me?
That seems like the kind of crazy thing in a Clark Griswold sort of way I'd get my family involved with if, the girls were younger and, we weren't divorced. If there was still a family
details.
unit.
It's all about the details.
Travel Leisure is doing this thing where they're sending one family to 3 state fairs in the Midwest, the finest in the world, of course, being Minnesota's. And they're all, the other one being in Iowa.
Okay.
To go to these state fairs and just share it with everyone. Do a little social media. They're going to pay you $15,000, your family, plus expenses to get around the Midwest. You're going to go to the Minnesota State Fair. Most people will, I think, probably. And, you've got a $10,000 travel stipend to cover airfare, ground transportation, other expenses, $5,000 in cash. I mean, you got to get on it. So you go to Travel and Leisure, their website, and I don't even know how I found this. Oh, yeah, they have promotions. They have a little promotions tab up there. You click on that, and, then you kick around. You take the kids, you throw them in the car, and you head out on the road. I was trying to look for where the other one was. Iowa, Minnesota, and I'm not seeing the other one now.
Your kids are too old and you're divorced. Candace doesn't have kids. My kids are both out of town and college students. Tony.
Yeah?
No, I'm on this.
You are, A, not divorced yet, and B, you have young kids who would love to go to state fairs. Get on it, Lee.
Do they pay for your eats?
Yeah, you do. You get $5,000 in cash for other expenses.
That's not enough.
Yeah, not going to get the job. Not at state fairs. Yeah, I mean, you drop some dough out there. There's an online application. You need to email them, fairfamily@american.com.
Love that.
Man, that'd be outstanding way to earn a little cash. $5,000 in cash, and then $10,000 travel stipend, and then $15,000 payday. Yeah, man, that would be great. In fact, I would pretend to be a man with a younger kids just to get in on that. I mean, what are they going to do? Like a DNA test? If you have little kids, they don't have IDs. They don't have federal IDs.
No.
Tony, let me borrow your kids. We'll make that money work.
Pick up some on the way. Head out to the mall and grab a few. Minnesota State Fair. I mentioned the Iowa State Fair and the Nebraska State Fair.
Oh, now see. Okay, that's where it turns into a job. Now I get it.
You do a flyby at Nebraska.
Now I get it.
Kind of like the Griswolds at the the Grand Canyon.
That's exactly right. Hey, the Minneapolis Zoo, I think they're opening that big walkover thing this week. Mm-hmm. That's exciting. Yeah. Much like Oppenheimer and Barbie, wait for the crowds to disperse, maybe wait a few weeks and then go check it out. That would be my plan.
Yeah.
That thing looks amazing.
It's a good zoo.
It's a very good zoo. I was there in 2010, and I really enjoyed it. The Columbus Zoo in Ohio, one of the most famous in the world, long seen as one of the world's great zoos. That dude that used to go on with Letterman all the time and bring out the crazy animals, Jack Hanna.
Yeah.
He's from the Columbus Zoo. Or was he San Diego? No, he was Columbus.
I can't remember.
There's the San Diego and the Columbus are the two that are generally A and B, 1 and 2, whatever. The Columbus Zoo welcomed a brand new gorilla baby this week. An 8-year-old Western lowland gorilla named Sully gave birth to a baby girl. And it was really cool because the zookeepers didn't even realize she was pregnant. And in fact, they didn't realize she was female. They thought they had an 8-year-old male gorilla named Sully.
Don't they wear it on the outside, the male gorilla?
They were completely shocked to find this male, in their minds, gorilla holding a newborn baby. The zoo said it's hard to tell the sex of younger gorillas until age 8. Males and females are about the same size, and they don't have prominent sex organs. As gorillas age, males and females begin to look very different. They will be conducting a DNA test to determine who the father is from amongst the gorilla population there at the zoo.
That hussy.
You'd think after 8 years, someone would figure it out on the staff, right?
You would have thought there would be, but I maybe the interaction with the Western lowland gorillas is not as up close as it is with those cute little chimpanzees.
True that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's even the Columbus Zoo can get it wrong on occasion. Is the point?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of wild. Can you imagine that? Like you spend your life like the study of Western lowland gorillas. It's my passion. And if I could just tell apart the men from the women, if the males and females made themselves known, my job would be a lot better.
Well, the gorillas knew, didn't they? There was a male gorilla in there that knew the difference.
Oh, the gorillas don't. Yeah, they no question about that.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's look back, shall we? How about a history lesson?
Well, what happened today?
Yeah, what is it, Steve?
Oh, I'll give you a little bit of sports history for July 24th. Lance Armstrong on this day in 2005 won his 7th straight Tour de France. Lance Armstrong, cheater.
Pumpkin eater.
By the way, not even I don't care about the doping. What I care about is the fact that other racers, other people in the world of cycling called him out and said he's doping, and he used his fame and his fortune and his prestige to destroy the careers, truly, of other cyclists who dared tell the truth.
Yeah, Greg LeMond is quite a name around here, being a Wisconsin guy, and a guy that actually won the Tour de France without doping. And I think he might have won it a couple of times. I know he won it once for sure. And he just literally lied and tried to destroy his life.
Yeah, Lance went full metal jacket on people who were telling the truth. Yeah. And so that is why Lance Armstrong will forever remain the biggest piece of pond scum in sport. On this day in 1983, a little game at Yankee Stadium, everybody will remember for how it ended. It ended like this. George Brett of the Kansas City Royals stepped into the batter's box. He hit a home run. Billy Martin, Yankees manager, then went to the ump. It's the 9th inning and said, I think there's too much pine tar on that bat. The umps measured the bat. The ump very famously then pointed to the dugout and said, you're out. Through George Brett, said, you're out. You did not win the game on the walk-off home run. And George Brett ran out of the dugout like he was on fire.
I mean, like a tiger that was, I mean, how would you like to have been standing there? Because that's like 50 yards,
It's incredible.
And that look of rage on his face and shoulders way out in front of the knees. He's charging hard.
One of the greatest player/umpire altercations in baseball history. Maybe the greatest. You see a lot of managers and umps, but player and ump, it was incredible. And by the way, here's the craziest thing. He's out, game over, Yankees win. The league overturned the call a couple days later. Yeah. And then the two teams had to go finish the game. As insane as that sounds. So really all of this for nothing because as it turned out, the Yankees won the game anyway. Neither team made the playoffs that year, in case you're wondering.
How bad did he want that home run the second time?
Yeah. Make no mistake about it.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.